Welcome to another Loose Threads here on Ugly Thirds. I'm John, and I want to walk you through another patch. I want to do each of the major manufacturers because there are differences in the fabric and how they go on. It's just enough that it is a bit trickier depending on what you have. So instead of, look, I put a lot of Reebok patches on recently. I haven't recorded videos for them all, but let's do this on some of these. So today's is a Fanatics jersey. And I'm sure many of you thinking, well, oh God, not a Fanatics jersey. Why would you do a Fanatics jersey? Fanatics is so good. Look, first off, I don't want to put a lot of money into this because the reason, what I'm doing, I'm a teacher, a social studies teacher, and I wear a different jersey every day to school, and I match it to what I'm teaching. And I struggle every time we talk about China and teaching world history. There's a lot of China for good reason. So one of the easy jerseys I'm going to have, LA and Vancouver played 2 games in the People's Republic of China, and they wore a special patch for it. So I bought this on eBay, and I want to put it on, and I don't want to have a massive investment. And because the LA Kings looked pretty much the same from Reebok to Adidas, there's not a lot of Adidas jerseys out there for a reasonable price, certainly not with players on them. And I don't know, I'm weird. If I put a patch on, I want to have a player on the back, and it had to be a player that played on that team. But anyways, this is also a first-year Fanatics. There's a lot of improvements in this. I'm actually kind of shocked because I have a larger one. I lost some weight. It doesn't fit well anymore. But I'll show you the differences in the Fanatics, and then we'll put this patch on, shall we? All right, maybe there's not a ton of differences, but you can really see it in the silver. There is a significant difference between this one being nice and sparkly and this one that is, I mean, it's shiny, but it's certainly not sparkly. For one, it's a nameplate. The older one, no nameplate, which should be a whole lot more impressive, but I know these Fanatics are just glued on, so it's really not. But look, these little details matter. There is also a gusset that they added. This fabric here, which goes on, is not here. It's simply not in this one. Interesting. Got this from Patch Collection. They're always nice and legit, and I love that the NHL actually does sell these now on actual proper things. And I do love stuff on the back. So that's actually how I remembered this game existed. So let's take it out and attach to this jersey, shall we? According to my reference photos, it goes right there. So in looking at the reference photos, it has the white of China games about even with this crest. Now, the thing is, if I do that here, it's essentially in my armpit. I'll do it really close to the crest, and that's not accurate either. I have gotten ones back from EPS. My Columbus Blue Jackets one with the inaugural patch is essentially in the armpit, and it's really annoying, and it made it from one of my favorite jerseys to one that's not great to wear. So I am going to have a little bit of a liberty and put it slightly higher, just because I got to wear it, and what we wear from the factories is not the same as what's worn on ice. Shrems and I proved that with a Bruins Pooh Bear jersey, where the 75th doesn't even fit on his because it's a smaller size. So I'm gonna adjust it a little bit, but I'm still gonna have it drop below the top of the crest as it should be. All right, so as usual, Quick Dry Fabric Fusion. I wish they'd sponsor this because I mean, it's like $8 a tube, and the tubes last. But look, it's a good product. I use it on everything. I'm very happy using my Fabric Fusion. And like I said, after trying it on, we're going to have it just a little higher than the actual thing. And I'm going to have to make sure it's not gluing through both layers by just giving a little fluff there. I do want to mention a big thank you to the manufacturers here because the more bumps and such, the harder it is to sew, the more angles you have to do. And usually there is a dip here if you follow the NHL logo on every single time we have that in there, which is every Winter Classic and Heritage Classic and every other you can think of. And here it's just straight across, one nice easy stitch. Thank you, thank you, thank you to whoever set that one up. All right, the usual setup. We got a zigzag and a rather short one at that because it's a patch and not back numbers. So let's go underneath here. Now it's close to the collar. I've made the mistake before. Don't go from the collar because you're going to have to rotate this jersey a lot, and the larger opening is going to matter. I'm going to take it somewhere down near the bottom where the eye doesn't start and make that a little easier to conceal. these start and stop points. And we're going to start slowly to make sure it's on either side. Because again, you always want to ride the outside edge of the patch so there is no fraying. The zigzag stitch will literally keep that from happening. Now, I said every jersey manufacturer is a bit different, and this is true of Fanatics. Fanatics fabric is thick. I don't know if you've realized, but it is quite thick and stretchy. And depending on where it is, I put a kit on my Montreal jersey, and the amount of times that the fabric itself would start to move, as if there were multiple layers. The top and the bottom of the fabric were not staying in line, and so the stretching was a real issue. So the foot underneath, the thing underneath the sewing machine foot moving the fabric forward doesn't always keep it moving consistently, and that causes problems. So make sure you're pushing this along a little bit. You're not just letting the machine take it through like you would for other things, because it might not. And the one thing that can screw this up is if the stretching of the jersey does not match the lack of stretching in the patch. That's how you get puckers and things. So do make sure you're moving this patch around and that it is, in fact, moving and not just sticking somewhere because it's trying to push the jersey forward and it's just not. See, it just did it. So it like a bunch of zigzag stitches and nothing moved forward. So I'm going to have to make sure I push this along with it. And there's probably going to be just a couple extra stitches in that spot, and no one's going to notice. All right, I did what I was talking about. I did what I was trying to avoid. You can see this pucker here. It's stretched while I was rotating it. And so I'm going to have to get a seam ripper and take out those couple stitches and redo it. And this is the problem with Fanatics. I don't like putting patches on the Fanatics because of this thick fabric and causing those problems. But it's cheaper than Adidas. It's cheaper than Adidas. All right, I pulled out from here to here with a trusty seam ripper, and we're just going to put it back under the machine and fix that after I cut those loose ends. Because I don't have to rotate it, I am going to go nice and close here. Let's get this stitchy finished. Again, watching the amount of stretch so it doesn't become a problem. And all right, that is not bad. I will take that. No one's ever going to question that. Pretty good. All right, so now we've taken a run-of-the-mill John Quick jersey that, you know, dime a dozen. I mean, that's the whole point of Fanatics, right? They only make a certain few players, and they put out so many of them, and now I've turned it into something worthwhile, special even. Something that tells a story of a single event, something worthy of a patch stories short. Anyways, so look, Fanatics not the easiest thing to work with. I definitely take Reebok over them, but you can do it. And look, if you're going to have a Fanatics jersey, you might as well do it. Give it a shot. It gave me all the problems I expected it to, and we still made it work. And you know what? I'll take it. I'm good with it. So I'm John for Shrems and Phil here on another Loose Threads for Ugly Thirds.